multilingual.com, the official website of UEFA. I also work for Onda Madrid. I don't know if you know it. It's the public broadcaster of Madrid. I work for the radio. And then I started to freelance for this channel. Currently, I'm doing basically two things. It's a news editor for the Spanish service, and I also work as multilingual news editor. So just so you have a little idea, I'm gonna try to show you something so you might be able to see it. This is where I work. This is Euronews, and it's a pan-European news channel that it's actually multilingual. We have contents in 12 different languages. Nine on them it's on TV. We have Spanish, English, German, Italian, French, Portuguese, Russian, Greek. We also have websites in Turkish, Arabic, and also in Farsi. We have a team from Iran. So basically, what we provide there, it's what the Americans call a rolling news channel. So it's a 24 hours news channel, and we work in different kind of content. So we have TV and we have web. Years ago, what we produced was the same news every language. So you worked basically in multilingual teams. So when I was working as news editor, or at the beginning as journalist, I had with me an Italian journalist, a French journalist, a German journalist, a journalist from an Arabic-speaking country. So we did the same stories, but that managed to, first, you could give your angle according to your public, but also it will help you a lot because if it was something happening in Germany, in Italy, you had the input of these journalists coming from Germany, from France, wherever. Since a couple of years ago, we've changed this dynamic. And now all the broadcasts are different. So it's what we call glocal. So we mixed global content and local content. Obviously, we're still an international news channel. The difference is that we provide somehow a European perspective. If you compare it, for example, with CNN, which is obviously American perspective, there are other channels like you might know France 24 or France 24, which is an international news channel also in different languages, but they provide the French angle or the French point of view of the news. Now, in this new way of working, it's that we provide, in one hand, all the global news. Let's say that it's important for everybody. Like, let's say, for example, figures about, let's say, figures about the pandemic of coronavirus, of COVID-19 in every country. But then we also can adapt. We have these contents that are for everybody. We can adapt the contents we have for our viewers. And as you can guess, for example, in Spanish, we pay a lot of attention to Spain and to Latin America and United States, because we have some viewers, some Hispanic, well, quite a lot actually, Hispanic viewers that are looking for a different point of view in news. To have a look about how it is, I have here a video I would like to try to show you, if I manage to put it properly. It's a video, actually, it's not an official video. I recorded it on Facebook because a friend of mine wanted to see the newsroom. So what I did is a little walk through the newsroom, showing the different desks and the different colleagues. You have to see that it's recorded a Friday evening, so obviously there is less people, and now also with the lockdown and the restrictions we have plenty of people working from home, even for TV. That's something you will see now with the new technologies. People can actually be at home, they can download all the videos they need, they can do the voiceover, do the edit and everything. So if you all agree, I can show you this video. Once, as I said, it's filmed really with the mobile in a really an informal way, so obviously it's not professional, but you might be able to have a look about how it is. And please tell me if you manage to watch it, because it's the first time I'm using this platform. So
it's probably the first time that they're going to see a newsroom. I mean, I'm not sure about this. I know that some of them have already been in newsrooms, but they're first-year students, so that could be your introduction to a TV newsroom. Thanks for that. Yeah. Thanks for the insight.
Do you have it on the screen right now?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go. Bueno, pues ya estamos terminando el día, así que hay poca gente y te puedo enseñar la redacción. So esta es Sasha.
que es la editora.
I started from one side of the room. You see Sasha Vakulina, Ukrainian journalist. She is the business editor.
Salut, ça va?
This is the French desk.
Aquí están los portugueses.
This is Iberia. This is we have the Portuguese desk
Y esta es
and the Spanish
la
desk.
española.
That it's well, it's empty at that time. We have just one editor.
Esa sí sabe. El news desk, que está completamente vacío, porque hay gente cenando y mucha gente está trabajando en casa. Este es Gerard. Hola, ¿qué tal?
The news desk, for you to know, it's the people who gather everything that is outside of the newsroom. So it's the people that is in contact with all the correspondents. It's the people that it's in contact with the news agencies. I don't know if actually, because I think it's your first year, if you know what's a news agency and how it works. If not, I can have a little explanation about it. The thing is, I cannot see the screen. So Roberto, if you can tell me.
Yeah, Fiona says kind of, which I'm not sure it means that they know, but maybe just a brief explanation of what a news agency is would not be redundant.
Oh, okay, well, basically, news agency, it's a news organization that they work for the media, but not in an exclusive way. So they work for several media. They produce contents that can be used for every TV. They pay them for, obviously, websites, newspapers, radio. So you have two kind of things. Main is a constant feed of news. So for example, they send you features about the stories, they send you press conferences that you can use, or you can commission them to do a specific story. Depends on the kind of agreement you have. So these people here at the newsroom, and here you have Gerard from Barcelona. They gather all of these kind of things, and actually they tell all the journalists, all the editors in different languages, the French editor, the German editor. We have this correspondent available. This agency is gonna send this, or the other way you can ask them. I need a correspondent in this place. I need images of this meeting that happened a couple of hours ago, and these kind of things. So if we continue with the walk, this is the main studio. That's where we produce all. That's the main shows from the English service. It's the world service.
También tienen a mucha gente trabajando en casa.
So you will see them.
Hello. I'm showing to a friend.
They're very shy, the English service. It's not like Southern Europeans.
Oh, this is the presenter.
Except Oliver.
It's another friend.
Oh, hello. You love doing these tours, don't you?
Sorry?
You should charge people.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna show you now something I should charge people for. Y bueno, German, alemán e italianos. Estos son los alemanes, que también están muy poca gente. Hallo, wie geht's?
Hi. Hallo.
Now I'm going to show you different place. This is where we do the live coverage, but when you don't need to be your face on air. Sometimes we just have the images, you just need to comment on them or comment as support to the presenter. So this is the Spanish cabin where, well, you will see the console and everything. So there is one for each language, obviously. And now we are gonna basically finish, if you want, because I don't want to make it very long, in the control room. So the people who control everything we broadcast in every language, as I said, 9 languages on TV. So 9 different broadcasts. You will see how it looks.
We have a small version of that in our studio, so they're not completely unfamiliar. It's simply that they haven't had those courses yet. But what you just saw in the last picture is basically what you're going to do in your subject for television next year, I think it is. Most of you.
Yeah,
I mean, most of you.
Control room. If you work on TV and you are presenters, you'd better get on well with them, because this is the people that take care of how you look on air and how you are on air. So so better get on well with them. So this is a little bit Euronews.
And some of them are going to be working there.
Okay.
So
So yeah, so be nice to those who are being on air, because sometimes they will feel really alone and vulnerable. You will see them. So this is Euronews. The way we work, I explain it a little bit about how it is. So we broadcast in different languages, and it's all based in communication. As you saw there, I talk to people. I said hello in different languages because you have to be very aware of this cultural difference. Even if we are mostly Europeans, the way people treat news is different. Also, the main topics for them is different. So basic, it's very basic and very essential communication. So you have to talk to them to see who is doing what. So that's why we have several editorial meetings. And this is just talking about TV. Website, it's other way of working. But we have a first TV meeting, editorial meeting in the morning. So we go there, and that's where we analyze what we're going to have in terms of what we call top stories or main stories. So it's the stories that everybody should do. For example, now we're following, especially early in the morning, it's when we analyzed everything that comes from United States with the pandemic. The figures they have are quite high. And seeing that, for example, in Europe, during the night, there's not too much going on except some breaking news. So usually the day is calm, we have this meeting, we analyze what we've got so far and how we're gonna do the day. So we decide the top stories, what are going to be the top stories of the day that should be treated by every language. Let's say, pandemic figures. Now we are also following what happens to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. For example, that's another top story. And also, all these multilingual editors from different languages say, okay, for my service, for German service, for Italian service, we're going to cover this. So we're going to do this story about a factory in Berlin that was, I don't know, producing something for cars, and now they changed their production chain, and now they are producing ventilators to deal with the pandemic. So they are going to do it because it's something happening in Germany, and all the other languages, we listen to each other and say, oh, okay, because, for example, we all know we have a shortage of any kind of medical equipment in Spain. You say, oh, that could be interesting for the public I have in Spain. So they tell you, and you agree with them, okay, you're going to produce this item. They will produce the item, get the information, and then you do your version for your own language. So obviously, when you are in a multilingual channel, there are a few in the world, communication is key. And then once you have all this information coming from this meeting, this is what we have here, there, the correspondents are going to be producing this or that, they're available for a live hit or not. We come back to the newsroom. Usually I like to have a little chat with the team to give them a view of how the day is going to go. And then, we start working. The editor decides which topics must be done first. The difference is we're working for a news channel. So it means news are coming all the time. It's not like if you work in a newsroom, let's say in Antena 3 or in BBC One or whatever. So you have your news program coming at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at 9 o'clock in the evening. So you work for that. Here it's a news channel, so you have to keep feeding all the news all the time. So when news come, it's better to have them as soon as possible on air, especially obviously the breaking news. So you try to explain the team, this is what we have now, this is an announcement we expect for this time, for that time. For example, everybody now in the newsroom, every language is aware of the fact that figures about the pandemic in Spain, it's about 11:30. Then at midday we have the press conference of the technical department of the government and so on, so they know. And some of the stories, as a Spanish desk, we produce them for everybody. Some other stories that are what we call the top stories are produced for everybody at the same time. So this is it. Also, we have, as I was telling you, this advantage of we are a multilingual and multicultural place. So you can get information and you can get explanations that you won't have if you work in a national newsroom. Even a correspondent, obviously somebody who's been living in Berlin, in Paris, in London for years, he will know. But it's not the same because you have somebody who has been there for a long time, who grew up there, and who has the same culture. So he can explain you something that will go further than facts that know about how people could feel or not. And for example, that's something else I would like to show you, because it's other one of my tasks sometimes. It's the world service, the English service, which is obviously the biggest one, because it's a language that basically almost everybody in the world speaks as first language or as second language. They get analysts from different services. So if something is happening in Italy, you have the correspondent in Rome, but you can have a news editor from the Italian service on set live to explain it in a different way, to give some other details. Now we're doing it less, because with the pandemic, there are some among all these rules we have some of them that we even have to respect in the newsroom, which is all this social distancing. So you have to keep some distance in the set, so you cannot have as many people as before. But if you want, I can show you also a little video I have of one of the times I've been on air. This one, I was explaining to the English-speaking audience how the investiture vote works in Spain, because you see, we had a couple of elections last year. So I was trying to explain them how it works in the parliament for the time Pedro Sanchez to be named president of the government or prime minister, because it's not obvious for everybody. So let me show you. It's a little video as well. I will cut it a little bit.
Joins me now here in the studio. So the clock is ticking for Mr. Sanchez and his socialists. They want to form a coalition government. How is the vote expected to play out today?
Buenos días, good morning. Today we have the first vote where Pedro Sanchez needs an absolute majority, which means more than half of the MPs voting for him. It's not going to happen, and it's something that we already expected. The key date is on Thursday, because if he's not able to be approved today, then there is a second vote 48 hours afterwards, where he only needs simple majority, which means he needs more people voting for him than against him, and there is where abstentions play a key role. So even if we see that they are criticizing each other, and it doesn't look really well right now, the negotiations, especially between the socialists and Pedro Sanchez and Podemos, they're all playing long term, or at least mid term, because the key date is Thursday, and the idea is to reach an agreement if possible for Thursday.
So how's it looking for Thursday?
Well, we will see. There still seem far away. We've seen how he spoke about his program, but the main thing what has everything stuck is chairs game, because Podemos is asking for ministers in the cabinet to have a real coalition. It's something that we never had in Spain before, and it's asking for up to 5 of them, while the socialists prefer to be alone. So they're trying to talk about it, and then we will see, because if these two parties manage to unlock this impasse, then all the other little parties that also need to support somehow, or at least go for abstention, then we will be more likely to act so we can have a government.
And why has this process been so difficult? Why has Spain in the past few years seen several elections?
Well, it's a new kind of game. In the last 5 years, we've seen a huge fragmentation. First, at national level, we came from a system where we had 2 main national parties, socialists, Pedro Sanchez, and Popular Party, conservatives. Now we have up to 5, because we have Ciudadanos, citizens, we have Podemos, and we have the extreme right. In addition to that, we have quite a few regional parties with a nationalist program or even pro-independence program, like in Catalonia. And now even with Catalonia, issue positions have hardened. So it's a lot of players in this game that actually 5 years ago, it was not necessary to play the game of negotiations.
Indeed, a very complicated picture there. Manu, thank you very much for that.
So this is a little bit the role we play all these language services with each other. So you can have a Portuguese colleague explaining you something on air. You can have an Italian colleague. A French colleague can ask you to be on set with them for their news show to explain something about Spain. And that actually is something really nice, because it gives you an insight. If you follow the video, there are some ideas I give that a correspondent, unless he's been in Spain for 10 years, 15 years, he has not this feeling about how parties work, this lack of negotiation among them. So it allows you to have an insight about the news and the contents that in some other cases you won't have. And I'm pretty sure in a national channel, which is broadcasting only in one language, with, let's say, monolingual, monocultural newsroom, well, they won't be allowed to show you this part of the of the news or this side of the news. I don't know if you have any question about Euronews, how we work or how it works on TV. Oh, the headquarters, it's a little bit strange, but we are based in Lyon, in France. It was a little bit more than 20 years ago when they decided to create Euronews. It was a way to counterbalance, actually at the beginning, CNN, because it was the only news channel and it was, 100% from the United States. So they were planning where to place it. One option was Valencia. I don't know if any of you is from there. It would have been a nice choice. It would have allowed us to finish and go to the beach, but they decided to place it in Lyon, which is a really nice city. If you check in the map, we're also geographically a little bit in the middle of our main services. You have Portugal and Spain in the south, you have Italy, you have Germany, you have United Kingdom, you have journalists coming from there. So the main headquarters are there. Then we have, obviously, as we provide European news, a big office in Brussels with one correspondent per language. So it's up to 12 correspondents, plus video editors, head of office, and so on. Then we have some freelancers or offices or correspondents, well, in several places, in Madrid, obviously, in Rome, in Berlin, in London. Till last week, I can tell you because I'm public, we have an agreement with NBC. So the American news channel was part of Euronews somehow. So we were having all their content from the United States. And now we're also starting to have something that we call franchises, which is we open news channels having agreements with local broadcasters. So the first one we opened, it was a few months ago. It's in Albania. So also if you type Euronews Albania, you will see you can even see on YouTube or their website their live signal. So you will see it's more or less a little bit the same as the same setup, the same kind of studio. So we want to keep this this image, and we all these languages, all these places, we all produce the news, as I say, with this sort of European perspective, and we cover the European Union in a way other channels obviously are not supposed to do. I don't know if it was too much information or too quick, but it was comprehensive anyway. I don't know if you have any other question about how it's working on TV or in a multilingual news channel. Okay, yes.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I have one from Michelle, and who's talking?
Fiona. Nice to
Fiona. Okay.
It's Michelle. I just learned after 2 weeks, Michelle, not Michelle.
Okay, Michelle. Okay. We can go with Fiona first, since you're...
You as being the Spanish correspondent and having this freedom of speaking of whatever you want, well, I mean, having the information from other members of your group, like, do you have the right of giving your own opinion, like giving this right or left wing in the news you publish, or you have to be neutral?
No, I mean, well, that's something I wanted to talk afterwards, but one thing is news and other thing it's opinion, and it's totally different. In Euronews, as we are really multilingual and really multinational, if you want, even if you want, you cannot, what can you do? Okay, let's please the socialists because they are in power in Spain. But then in Germany, you have Angela Merkel, which is conservative, even, with the power of, I'm not going to say the power of religion, but they pay a lot of attention to Christian religion. In UK, it's different, it's more liberal. So actually, it's easier for us because it's very difficult to please everybody. And it's easier if you just go for facts, and that's what we do. Usually, for opinions, what we have is experts. You have analysts, you have experts, you can ask them. You always try to balance it. Sometimes it's easy because you know before what their opinion is, so you can look for somebody else to counterbalance or not. But journalists, you are supposed to deliver facts. And the most you can do is an analysis. So for example, now with the pandemic, it's something we've been speaking a lot about, how to give the information, because as news channel, you are broadcasting all the day. So I think it's not good for anybody, not for you, not for the viewers, to be speaking about dead people, and these are the numbers, and these are the numbers, and today we have 348, today we have 200, whatever. So you can give an explanation. So that's, for example, what we do now. It's okay, these are the numbers, and this is the trend. And it's looking better or not, but you always try to support it with an analyst, or in this case, we have these press conferences from the government where they explain you the trend. So you cannot say this is good or bad on air. You can have an analyst saying this is good or bad. Viewers must be able to understand that this is his personal view, but you are supposed to deliver facts, and we cannot mix them. What I'm not very used to this, so I don't know how to go back to the question Michel did before. Or
Michel, yeah, I can read it for you. What do you think is the hardest part about your job? And then there's another one from Alessia.
Yeah, okay, I have it in there. Wow, hardest part of the job. For me as editor, it's basically being aware. You have to be aware of everything. Some stuff you know it better, some stuff you know it worse, but you need to know what's happening in the world. You need to know what's happening in the US, what's happening in North Korea, what's happening in Italy, in France. As I said, you don't need to be an expert on everybody, but you have to be informed the whole day. And I mean, if you like it, fortunately I like it. It's easier, but if you see, for example, my mobile, you won't believe the amount of news alerts I get from I don't know, news agencies, news outlets from United States, from Italy, whatever, just to be in pace, because everything is changing so fast that you have to be aware of everything. That's one of the most difficult things. And sometimes the other difficult thing is how to make this understandable for people, because you're reading all the time, or most of the time, you're in contact with correspondents, with other journalists, so they explain you, but you have to think, okay, does somebody watching the news in Spain knows this or not? Should I explain it or not? Like, for example, as I did with you with a news agency. So sometimes it's very clear what you have to explain, and sometimes not. And that's also pretty difficult. And the third one is not related with journalism, but sometimes I work as news editor and I have to start at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I think we all agree that waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's pretty complicated as well. Another question I see: how does the filtering process in Euronews work in regards to which news to discuss and which was not to? It all starts in the welcome. It all starts with the editorial meeting. So the editor-in-chief and the deputy editor-in-chief, they have an idea of how they want to, let's say, the day to go on, which are the main stories and not. And then we also go all the news editors from different languages to speak about it. So there we speak a little bit like globally about what are going to be the main coverage of the channel. If I don't know, Emmanuel Macron, French president, is talking, if we want to do it live, and usually translate it, because that's all the advantages we have. It's that you have people at Euronews, most of the journalists, with their language, they speak French because we live in France, and they speak English. So if we translate it or not on air, if we do also, you will see we have something called no comment live, which just provide images with no comment of some events that they speak by themselves. So you have this first filter, and then all the editors, they give their input. So we say, okay, we consider this is important or not, or maybe this is important, but with a due respect, for my viewers, it's more important what's happening in Latin America than what's happening in North Macedonia. While for a Russian service, it's all that's happening in Eastern Europe, it's more important. There's this filter, if you want, which is, well, a filter somehow. And then this meeting, which is we are like, let's say, with people on video conference and people there. And I'm speaking about normal times, not now that we have a lot of people at home. We can be 15 people, so sometimes they are long. Then we have a second meeting with the Spanish service, where the journalists give their input. You explain them, okay, I think this is important. No, that's where we're going to do. And they give you their opinion, and sometimes okay, they manage, well, not they manage, they convince you because you see they are right, or it's the opposite, and that's how you decide. And that's one part of the job. You will see when you work, if you work in a newsroom, sometimes the day you organize the day, it's nothing to do with it has nothing to do with the way the day finishes, because we have breaking news. You have some figures, for example, if you expect figures from Spain regarding the pandemic, and suddenly now it was stable, there is a huge rise. So obviously it changes, and all the maybe the side stories you prepared before won't work. So there's some filtering if you want, or not filtering, I will call it editorial meeting and editorial decisions about what's important to show to the viewers and what's less important if you want. And from then there you move during the day, seeing what's going on and how you react to that. Any other questions? Somebody? Okay, I think we can go on, because Roberto told me, if I'm not wrong, that you are now talking about ethics and journalism. So,
yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, we were talking about these last days about it. And that's the examples I want to show you. It's some of this not ethical problem, because that's too much, but these decisions you have to take, and how you present news to the viewers. And we all know what's happening with the pandemic. We have all seen images from all around the world of people in hospitals, politicians talking, people giving masks, face masks to everybody. And I came to a conclusion while covering this, that actually it's difficult to be impartial, even if you want, because of the view you present of the world. And it is true that at the beginning, well, the pandemic, obviously, it started in China, but when it came to Europe, that's when it started to feel that it's something, obviously, that it's not far away. As a journalist and as a person, when it's happening in China and it's more or less controlled there, you give the news, but you as a person, you feel more, you don't feel you're in danger. So once it moved to Europe, we saw that Spain and Italy were the countries that were hit first and hardest. So we all have seen these images of hospitals in Spain, or if not, you can do a quick search on YouTube or in the internet. Hospitals in Spain and in Italy with people lying on the floors because they are not well equipped, doctors talking, saying they don't have enough equipment to protect themselves. We all have seen it. And obviously, when you do it, when you see it, obviously you report it. And at the beginning, it's normal. You do it. It's a way to say, okay, there is something that's not working. There is a big problem, and you have to show these images. An interview, as we did with some doctors, who tell you. There was even one who said something like, "Listen, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to be in politics. I don't want to have anything to do with politics. But when they say we're getting all this equipment and we're receiving it, every day I go to my hospital in the morning, I see it's not true. I see my colleagues with no gloves. I see my colleagues with no masks or using masks they had the day before and so on. So obviously it's normal. It's a crisis. Every time there's a crisis, you have all these kind of images. And now it's a pandemic. It's something pretty new even for me as journalist. But you have conflicts, you have wars, and obviously you have all these first images. But then it comes to when the situation is more stable. And you know a little bit more what's going on. And then it's when we start to have all these editorial meetings and speak about it and what's available to be on air or not. And that's when I was telling Roberto, it's very weird because every time there is a meeting, we all have images of Italy and Spain with patients on the floor, healthcare professionals unequipped or not with proper equipped, people suffering, all this information about these nursing homes where you have seniors, the elderly living there with all the problems we have. But when it comes to other countries like France, UK, Germany, I'm going to leave it aside because they are dealing better with the pandemic. But France or UK, it's more complicated to get this kind of images. And what some agencies and local media provide, it's different. They provide, and I will show you some examples. They provide like more positive view of the countries, even if we see right now that the UK is starting to have trouble. And even you could see it in the editorial meeting, like somebody, as I told you, from the newsroom, who is these people who tell you all the information, all the images and all the input you are going to have from correspondence, wherever, they tell you, we have this story from a hospital in Albacete, which is in deep trouble. But in the other hand, we have these images from the UK of volunteers organizing themselves very well to help healthcare doctors. So I'm going to show you some of the examples I found. It's here, and it's here. So this was the beginning. These are screenshots of from our website, but this is how it started. So you can see, and we've all seen, it's very, very easy to have these images. To have, you say, espeluznante paseo por el Hospital Severo Ochoa de Madrid. The images were really hard of people lying on the floor. And this was all the other second part is these doctors, when we first heard this sentence, that actually it's been said in several countries, it's that doctors have to choose who goes to intensive care or not. That's pretty tough for it's like you might go to a hospital, but maybe they will be obliged to decide whether they help you or not because you are too ill, too old. But as you can see, yes.
Can I ask you, the first video, it looks like it's being recorded with a mobile phone, isn't it? So
Yes.
did you from someone in Spain, or
yeah, this
recording it?
Yeah. This was recorded by somebody in a hospital. If you want, I can show you. If you give me a second, I think I have it. Yeah, I have it here. If you want to see the video.
Is it very hard, or?
No. You see, but
okay.
It's not hard. I mean, but you will see the kind of images we have.
It can actually be very interesting. I mean, what they have to do a media ethics assignment at some point, so you can use this video as a reference and judge if this is touching some ethical lines or not. So yeah, I mean, if you're okay showing it to us,
yeah, let's go for it. What I'm going to do is remove the audio because it's you will just listen to the journalist, but...
Un paseo por el interior del Hospital Severo Ochoa de Madrid que te hiela la sangre. Unas instalaciones completamente desbordadas, con enfermos de COVID-19 distribuidos por los pasillos, los más afortunados tumbados en camas, sillones o sillas, y otros aparentemente más jóvenes, tirados literalmente por el suelo. Sobre
This is the other part. These are photographs.
Y pruebas.
But we can come back later to filming with mobiles. This is the person who said.
Yo hoy con la televisión que hay material suficiente y nosotros mismos o compañeros que hemos hablado esta mañana de la Mónica Hall que se queja.
So yeah, you see the images. I don't know if you want to go further or to talk about them. Or,
Can I just ask, was there any problem on deciding whether this should be broadcast or not?
No, because as I said, it was at the beginning. So as soon as you don't see the people, you don't see the faces, we said, okay, this is really strong material, and we have to show what's going on. And actually, also the soundbite interview with the doctor, it's the same when he says, I don't want to mingle with politics, but when they say this, it's not true. Every day I go to work, you see the situation. So I think it's sometimes important. Obviously, the level of tolerance changed. This one was, somebody's asking how we had access to this. This one, if I'm not wrong, was provided to us by an agency. It was like syndicated by an agency, so all the television members, let's say, who had access to this provided it. So it was shown in Euronews, but probably it's been seen probably maybe in UK or in Italy for the channels that did it. We have also other videos that we got ourselves. This is like this was provided to a lot of people, or a lot of people, some media. We have other ones that actually it was the doctors themselves or nurses who filmed it and sent it to us and said, please show this because where we are, you know, we need help, and politicians are saying this and that, but it is not the case. So as I said at the beginning, for me there was no question. It's a strong material, but you have to solve the reality. It is the problem.
And I think what you said was actually very important in the discussions that we had before. That one of the considerations you made was that no faces were shown, so the right to privacy of those people laying in the hospitals was preserved. However, it might be very hurting images, but they told the reality that needed to be told. So that was actually really nice. Thanks.
Well, you have to show just little piece of advice that works very well for me. When you're in this situation, think if you were at the other side, if you were the person who's being filmed or who you are asking, to whom you're asking for an interview. It helped me a lot when I was looking for people who was attacked in the terrorist attack in Paris some years ago, in Bataclan and so on. I managed to find and talk to a couple of them, and well, you see, you were telling them, okay, this is what we want to do, and if you feel comfortable, it's fine. If not, it's also okay. Don't worry. And I even to one I said, I promise we won't go any further, because when you think about this guy who has been shot and has been injured, and then you're telling him to be on TV and speak about it, it's also hard for them. So you have to think also about the other person a lot. If we continue with this angle, just to go very quick, this is okay. We were speaking about at the beginning. So situation is bad. You show it. It's somehow to denounce the situation and to show how bad it is. But at one point, the situation is stable. And that's where it comes. So, okay, now you have to inform about the daily fight and these people. And I'm going to show you an example. This is something I saw that really, well, two examples. This is the first one. Situation is more or less stable. This was provided by an Anglo-Saxon agency. If I'm not wrong, it's Associated Press. And it's about how the demand of a company that produces coffins in Barcelona is the triple now. So when I saw it, it was, I remember, early in the morning. It's not something you want to see in the morning. And you see, why in Spain, where the situation is getting better, why don't you film this in UK or in France? Because people are also dying there. And obviously, and I'm sorry to say this direct, the production of coffins there, it's also on the rise. Why don't you show it? But then the same day, we have these images coming from France. And we've all heard about the problems they've had in these nursing homes and these, homes where you have seniors, elderly people, and all the cases. But the difference is that what we had from France, it's a really nice nursing home with the elderly playing games, nurses and all the personnel working there, or the staff properly equipped, and you say, okay, it's really nice. I'm sure in this place it's like this, but it's not everywhere like this. So this is where you start to think about, okay, how do I present reality? Because even if I want to do it in a proper way, and you have your own correspondents and you have your own people, not everybody's showing it the way it is. And even you can say it with the way data is given. In Spain, they're giving all the, and in Italy, all the deaths per day, including people in nursing homes. In France, they started to do it in April. So at the beginning, they didn't want to do it. In UK, literally, they don't do it. So figures are kept at a lower level. And that's one of the difficulties when you say, okay, ethics, nor ethics, whatever, how I do present reality when it comes in a different way. Why do you think this happens? Because, and I'm going to say directly, I think there is some sort of battle or fight, not open fight, of image of the countries. So countries want to present a better image of themselves. So they try to, not for their own people. So for example, you keep figures lower so your citizens are no, I'm not going to say happy, but they are not so angry at you. And also at the international level, because now everybody knows what's happening or get news of what's happening everywhere. And just to finish with this, I'm going to give you a little example that I can show you. We were trying to talk to a doctor, a Spanish doctor in Belgium. She's surgeon, and well, what we knew is that she volunteered to work with COVID-19 people. So we said, oh, that's a nice story, a Spanish person living abroad. I mean, we didn't want to do it like, you know, for the controversy, just more like a personal thing. Why did you volunteer for that, whatever? And everything was fine, but then the hospital said, no, you cannot talk. But then also, wait a second. Here it is. The day after, we got images provided by the news agency about a nurse also working there. I'm going to show you. It's the second part of it. A nurse working in Belgium. I don't know if you speak French, but say, okay, this is a nurse in intensive care. Well, Tom the Mask. It's like speaks openly. I'm more convinced than ever about my vocation. So you can see, it's even if the situation it's complicated, they try to give a positive message. This was taken. This information, these images were. This is 7 sur 7. It's a website and a newspaper from Belgium. But we got the images also and said, okay, you know, it's at the same point. You're showing a positive image of a country, but then these same agencies, when they go to other countries, they don't mind about filming people on the floor or doctors complaining or whatever.
Can I ask you a question, Manu? Where are the agencies that you hire from?
We have most of them are the two main are British and American. So it's Reuters, which is the biggest one. We're working less with them now, and Associated Press, which is American. And then the other one, it's we hired the. I'm speaking about images, not about wires, about let's say news, just images. The other one, it's France Presse, which is a French one, but they have quite an interesting international service. Obviously, sometimes the images you get with them, for example, they send us some really nice images of a high-speed train prepared to transport patients from one city to another one on these kind of things. So basically, I see it a little bit more with Anglo-Saxon because the cliches work very well. And I can even tell you, working at Euronews, when there is something related to Franco, they always come to say, is this important? And you say, listen, Franco died some years ago, just let him rest in peace, or not in peace, but let him rest, at least. So, yeah, basically it's, yeah.
And do you think it's related to what you were saying, that countries are trying to present an image of themselves? Do you think the agencies are playing a role there?
I think it's, I mean, I don't know if it's on purpose or not. Maybe sometimes yes, but also I think it's something you do it even if you don't think about it. I think in Southern Europe we are more open about it, and we are more open to well, you see it even in politics, to criticize what's not going on, but to criticize it publicly. While other countries, all these self-critics, I think it's not that strong. And even in France, and I can tell you because I live here, people complain a lot. When it's about doing it officially, then it's much more complicated. So I think even if you don't do it in purpose, you do it. It happens. I remember when Delcy Rodriguez, which is Maduro's number 2 in Venezuela, came to Spain with all the controversy, and they asked me to go on set to explain it. Even if I didn't think about it, I was obviously giving the explanation the government said, and said, listen, no, the government said it's unofficial, they were not aware or not. And even if it's something just the government said, and I'm not lying, obviously you are softening a little bit the controversy without thinking that you're doing it.
And how do you think journalists can navigate in these self-conceptions and all these pressures from outside? I mean, what would be the advice for journalists and communicators that you have in front of you?
First, it's to deliver facts, and then one question is, who is giving you these facts? That's also important to understand. Who is giving it and why? And that's, for example, we also have these waves of images of Chinese doctors coming to Europe to help, to say, okay, why do we have these images? That's an example. Probably because China has been widely criticized about the way they've dealt with the pandemic. So now they are trying to show to the world that they are willing to help and to improve this image. So always question who is telling you the info you get and why this person is telling you. Sometimes they are just helping and they are answering to your questions. Sometimes they want you to give a message. And if you're doing an interview and you see the person you're interviewing is saying the same sentence 3-4 times, it's because he or she wants this to be the headline of your interview. Be sure about it.
Thanks.
I don't know if you have any other question or about it.
We have literally 1 minute left, so if you have questions, this is your last chance. If you want to know where you can send your CV to Manuel, or or something related to what he said. I mean, we're abusing your time. I asked you to be around until 10:02.
Okay, well, it's been a pleasure. It's been my first time doing something like this, so please forgive the mistake. And if you're gonna work in the news media, it's gonna be difficult at the beginning, you will see, especially in countries like Spain. But if you really want to work in the news industry, in the news media, it's going to be really, really nice. It's a job that gives you a lot of satisfactions, even where you are not looking for them. A little story you found and you are not sure about it, and then suddenly it turns into something really interesting, and you have even viewers saying, "Oh, thank you for reporting about this or that." So I think you're at the beginning of the way. You will have some hard times, but it's really worthy, I can tell you.
Well, thank you, Manuel, for everything. If you wait a minute, I'll just create a group to talk to you in private and to thank you in private. Well, thanks everybody also for keeping up and for your interesting questions. And well, just wait a minute. I mean, you can. Everybody but Manuel, you can leave the room. I know that you have other classes afterwards. But yes, I mean, thank you for thanking him. It's been a pleasure having him around, and well, hopefully we'll see more of him. And I've just copied the link from Euronews, so if you want to check on his work, you can do it. And if you want to follow Euronews, I think it's a very interesting and atypical media that can be a good inspiration for you as students of journalism. So well, thanks again. Wait a minute, and I'm just gonna.